Hey guys, Devin Moreno, and welcome to another Baltimore Investors Pro Tip. And today we're going to go ahead and go through a gut renovation. This is actually part 3 of a series where veteran investor Mark Owen goes through an entire house and talks about what he would do to renovate that house in Baltimore City, things he would watch out for, and really good tips for things that will cost you a lot of money if you get into this business. So this investor actually has well over 100 units, is experienced in this area, well known in the Baltimore City market. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what he has to say. This is part 3 and we're going into the basement.
The basement is like where your money's at for the system, so that's usually the first place I go. Okay, this last step down here is missing, so you should try it. So one of the first things I notice is this is not a 7 foot, well, it's close, but it's not a 7 foot ceiling. It's a little bit light, a little bit shorter than that. I'd probably still go ahead and finish it since it's got drywall up there. But let's go ahead and start in the front of the house. And I'm going to explain to you why I do that. In Baltimore City, the water, just about every house that I've ever been in that I can think of, the water comes in the front of the building. So the first thing I want to do is find out what kind of plumbing is coming in. So let's look for the water line. So this looks like copper going out to the meter, which is good. The reason I'm saying that is because there's no threads on it. This threaded stuff right there is galvanized. Galvanized is bad. So this right here doesn't have threads, so it looks like it's more than likely copper going out to the meter, which is good. Because what happens a lot of times is if it's galvanized going out to the meter, galvanized are like our arteries after eating at McDonald's for 30 years. You know, they get smaller and smaller and smaller because you get a lot of plaque and stuff that's building up. And the same thing happens with this galvanized piping, where it gets all these minerals and stuff that attach to the pipe, and it gets smaller and smaller. So what happens, like if you ever grow up in a house like that, like you're in the shower, somebody flushes the toilet, and all of a sudden you get hot because the water pressure decreased significantly. Well, if you've got that issue, then you're going to be replacing parts of your plumbing. The good news is we're not going to have to replace it out to the meter because it looks like we have copper going out to the meter. But it looks like from this point forward, it was all stolen. And even more bad news is you can see it from this side. The wiring was cut.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'll get out of here so you guys got more room.
Oh, yeah, I saw that out here.
So what's going to happen now is even if all this drywall is in great shape, we're probably going to be removing it because it's going to be a lot easier for the electricians and the plumbers to run all new plumbing and all new electric if they have access to what's above that. If they're going to be like cutting holes and fishing wires and all that stuff, then your cost of your plumbing electric is going to be significantly higher. So
Mark, you were saying with the threads, that's indication of copper.
the threads is galvanized.
Threads, the galvanized.
Yep.
Okay.
So so we're going to be doing a lot of demo down here as well. So that's going to kind of suck because the cost just went up. So we see the electric's been cut, the plumbing's been cut. We haven't even seen if there's a furnace in here yet, but I suspect that if there is, there's probably not much left to it. And we also see
What is that?
an oil tank right here for oil heat.
Wow.
So we don't know if there's a boiler in here, a forced air boiler. I kind of doubt it since there's ductwork. There's probably been replaced. They just left this tank in here. The removal of these tanks is typically around $300. Somebody come in and drain it. And then what they'll do a lot of times is cut it in half and then remove it. Some people actually take those things and make pit beef out of them and shit. It's like
Better clean it well.
Huh?
Better clean it well.
Yeah, better, man. I was just thinking like an Exxon burger or something. So yeah, I would frown upon that. As far as the walls behind this oil tank there, you see that it's like this block with paint on it. A lot of times that has lead paint as well. So we have a couple choices. You actually have a few choices. You can just leave it and then you get a house with lead paint in it. You can parge it, which is where these guys take like that mesh screen and attach it to that rock and then cover it up with cement or mortar and then just leave it like it is. And then that way there's no paint, there's no lead. You can paint that or you can frame it. Like the walls behind you, these black walls where they just framed it. So they wouldn't be able to,
Okay.
Yeah, so you got a few different choices. If you're gonna finish the basement, you're gonna frame it. If you're not gonna finish it, then just get and parge it. It's gonna cost you some money, but then you're gonna have to worry about the lead stuff.
What's more expensive, parge or framing?
Well, if you're gonna frame it and you're gonna run electric outlets and all that in, then it's gonna cost you more to do that because you're gonna finish the basement. But if you're just thinking I just want to parge, leave it unfinished, then parging it's cheaper.
What about this old gray paint you see in a lot of old houses? Lead?
It may.
Yeah.
Most of the time it doesn't, but
It's like shiny. It's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very unique.
most of the time that doesn't have lead paint from my experience. But it may, and if it does, if you're gonna cover it up with drywall, you're good. Your choice is either gonna be cover it with a lawn or cover it with drywall. If you wanna go lead free, in this house, I'd probably cover it with drywall after everything else is done. It's gonna add to your cost significantly, to finish this basement, to run electric lines, outlets, to code and frame it and all that stuff. It's gonna end up costing you, who knows, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to finish this.
What's your plan to do?
Pardon me?
What's your plan?
What's my plan?
Yeah.
Well, I don't own this house. This is the one I
the
bought.
other
That's
one.
the other one,
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
So for this one, I'd wait till all the demo's done and then sit down and run my numbers on it. But for this one right here, it would also depend on what Neil says. If he's like, yeah, there's no lead paint on the joist, then I probably wouldn't finish it. If he says there's lead paint on the joist, then I'd probably finish it. And that's gonna add significantly to my cost. But that's for all the houses I'm buying now, making them lead free. I'm just taking that into consideration.
So the electricity runs through here, this is where it comes into
So
the
the
house?
electric's probably gonna come in the back.
Okay,
In
alright.
this house. We're gonna go to the back and see if the panel's in there, but I suspect all the wires are cut. Like even right over your head right here, you
Yeah,
see
right,
where.
right, yeah.
And I mean, nobody works harder than a junkie. They probably got $150 for all the copper in this house. Take a chance of going to jail for 10 years.
Yeah.
End up costing somebody that's gonna buy the house $15,000 to fix all of it. I would just pay them $1,000 to don't come in my house. I mean, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, that's so
Right.
true. It's like it's grounded.
Should start like another,
Yeah, this is newer one.
Facebook group for junkies. Like, here's a vacant house. I pay $1,000, but don't go in it. Of course, they already sold their laptop, so they're not gonna be able to get to the page anyway. So they pull down the lights, access to plumbing, or the wiring. I mean, they left a lot on there, man. They left a lot of meat on the bone. Maybe they decided to come back for that. Yeah, that just comes right through. So the furnace is still here. And this had it had central air. Why don't we, you guys can
It wasn't
look
too
through that
dangerous.
hole or come around here.
This picture, watch this. See that guy's here. Literally hanging on.
So the way I can tell that this has central air is these pipes coming out right here and this condensation pump. If you know how if you got a glass of iced tea or water in the summer and it gets wet on the outside, that's condensation. Well, these coils do the same thing. It's got the freon running around in it. It's cold. The air blows over top of it. Condensation gathers on the coils, flows down, and drips, and then it goes into these pipes right here, down to the condensation pump, and that's going to pump it somewhere. And these two lines right here go out to the condenser, which would be out in the backyard.
There's a line running back there somewhere.
Yep. So this is really bad news, man. I mean, this whole unit's going to need to be replaced. But we do have ductwork. But that's still gonna wind up probably being $4,000 for a new furnace and air conditioning, $4,000 to $5,000. The ductwork's probably okay. We might have to add some upstairs. We'll see when we get up there, but that's where we're at.
Putting heat pumps in, or you putting
No, I don't
gas?
I don't do any heat pumps, just gas.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you're gonna replace that hot water heater and you're thinking, okay, I got a Section 8 inspection, I wanna make sure everything passes. This drip leg right here is supposed to go down 6 inches off the ground. The reason for that is a lot of these pressure relief valves right here point straight out. And they're like, man, they don't want somebody standing in front of it and have this pressure relief valve blow and then blow hot water all over somebody. So they want it to go down towards the floor. Other issues with this is the venting on the top. You can tell this is a gas hot water heater just because it's got a vent on the top. Electric ones don't have that. And I am putting, for this house right here, since I'm going to rewire it, more than likely rewire the whole damn house if I bought it. Then I'd get and put an electric hot water heater in, so it's another thing I don't have to worry about, is the pilot lights and all that crap, and the venting for the carbon monoxide and all that
Makes
stuff.
sense.
So, and I think the electric ones are actually cheaper. So the inspectors are also going to look at the venting for the hot water heater to make sure that everything is attached. It's either got to be screwed in or taped in where the joints are at. And it's got to be flowing uphill. You can't have the vent coming out of the top and then like going down because heat rises. So if it's got to go down, it's going to get stuck and start coming out through the joints and all that stuff in the duct work for the top of the hot water heater. So you want to make sure that all that stuff's connected properly. What else do we see? That's probably a half bathroom back there, or does that go outside?
Bathroom.
Bathroom.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's half. Yeah.
We gotta wash the dry back.
Yeah, this is not good. The reason I'm saying that is because I suspect that the drain line is above grade. Let me see. Yeah, it is. If you look, I'm gonna get out of here so you guys can see that. Also, there's something else that I want you to look at back here. The electric panel is new, but all the wires have been cut from the top of it. And the part where the meter attaches, the meter's missing. So BG&E is definitely going to be involved in this job. And this is the BX cable that I was talking about right here, this metal cable. So let me get out of your way so everybody can get in there and take a look at that.
How many amps do you usually want in the house? Like
Whatever
this?
my electrician recommends, you know,
Okay.
140, 180, maybe 200, depending. Well, that's a service cable. If it's like a 100 amp service cable, I'll leave 100 amp service. If it's a 60 amp service cable, then I'm going to want to upgrade it.
Yeah.
And then you got to get BG&E involved, and you might as well just go with a higher amp service cable. So, does anybody have any questions about this basement? We looked at the HVAC, we looked at the plumbing, we looked at the electric. It's going to be a lot of money. Got a lot of demo to do in this house. I mean, all these walls are coming down. I mean, this just looks stupid.
Yeah.
Very chopped up.
Yeah. So,
So you said like if you were brand new, get all contractors, like it's gonna be about 50K.
could be, yeah.
And that's if you have contractors who are nice to you.
Yeah, and so you don't want to be all in this for $68,000, not in this new, because you're not going to have any equity at all.
Yeah.
If you're buying just for cash flow, you're going to cash flow good, because the taxes are probably $700, $750 a year. But as far as like equity goes, like you're not going to get shit. You're going to do all this renovation, and you're going to be in it for, you know, what it's worth at the most.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend anybody buying this right here, unless you just like headaches
Yeah.
and spending a lot of money.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for the basement walkthrough. After that, he goes into the next house, and we are going to go ahead and upload that video very soon in our part 4 of Pro Tips with Mark Owen. So make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know if you want us to ask anything to Mark Owen, and we'll definitely ask those questions to him. He's very experienced in this field. So I appreciate you guys and all your time.